think you could do it, did you?
It's a good start. A little bit left.
You didn't think you could reach the summit.
You got to keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's go.
You didn't think you could be an Olympian.
Drive. Come on now. There you go. Use your arms.
You never thought you could experience the great outdoors. You didn't think you could experience sports ever again.
Keep going.
Today is a new day.
Don't quit on me. Keep going.
Your world is now and forever changed because you did it. You are doing it, and you will do the things you love again.
You're very best. You're very best.
If you want to play it, run it, hunt it, swim it, hike it, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Game Changers. It's time to change the game. Oh man, it feels good to be back in the driver's seat. Man, I have been missing like crazy the man who just makes me sound so much better because I hate talking to myself. Ethan Johnston, everybody, back in the house. Ethan, my brother, how you doing, man?
I appreciate all that stuff. No, I'm doing great. It feels good to be back. I feel like I've been gone for a long time, but
yeah,
seriously.
It's been a minute. Okay, so now you got to fill us in. What in the world were you doing? You had tournaments, you had family, you had vacations, you had work, all of it. Let's go.
Yeah, obviously we had the Beat Baseball World Series tournament over July 21st all the way through the 28th, and unfortunately fell short. We got second place out of 20 teams. And again, just like in any sport, even in, blind beat baseball, it's about momentum. And once, the team has that momentum, how long are they going to keep it and keep stepping on your throat until you give up, basically. And, I would say probably 2 innings screw us over, throughout the whole season. I feel like we played pretty well, except 2 innings. And those are the 2 important innings, and that's why we're in second place.
Oh man, that sucks. That close to victory, and just sometimes, it kind of reminds me of all these Olympic athletes who have been training, many of them their entire lives for these one moments. Like I think of the 100-meter dash, and that gun goes off and you've trained your whole life to run 100 meters as fast as you possibly can, and to lose by 1/10 of a second, like 1,000th of a second. I was like, did the gun go off? Did you not hear it? Did you react like those little teeny tiny things? Just, did you not count your steps right? Did you overextend once, or, and when it comes down to those millisecond minute operations in your body, it just,
everything makes a difference, and like, I know, I'm not saying I've been in that stage, in the Paralympic stage competing, but I mean, I competed trying to work up to that. And I know for me, like, I'd be thinking about stuff and all of a sudden it goes off. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go. And so everything's gotta be in sync, or else you're kind of like that microsecond behind.
Like watching an ant walk across your hand as you're sitting at the line. You're like, oh, there's an ant. Oh, man.
Or that stupid fly.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny. What else? So did your kids start school?
Yep. My oldest is in 1st grade and my second is in preschool. So he's a half a day. And so my baby girl is by herself. She doesn't know what to do with herself. She has the whole house to herself. And so every 5 minutes, Daddy, can you change the show? I'm in a meeting. So we try to make those adjustments right now. But yeah, no, other than that, just every day, working and stuff. So how about you, though?
Yeah, the summer was great. I went to Boston and Maine for a couple of weeks, and just a huge reprieve from life and re-energizing and coming back in this new chapter of life. I'm excited to approach that. The hike was amazing. We had 75-ish hikers up. Nice. It was awesome. So many amazing stories to come out of that. But like me, I mean, like you kids are back in school. Ava and Landon. Ava started dance now twice a week, which is she's very intense into ballet. And so after this level, if she passes this level, she'll be able to do point. And so she's very excited about
Are you
being able to
helping
do
coaching with that at home, or are you guys working together? What's happening?
I'm training her a little bit. She worked on ballet bar and stretches. And so it's just a little bit of pushing and getting her to get into that stuff. But Landon is going to be playing flag football again this year. So he's
Okay.
rock and roll and run around and still in that learning stage. And
I gotcha. Remind us, how old are your kids?
11 and 7. Landon's 7.
Okay.
11, yeah.
Cool. So flag football. All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that his favorite sport, or is we're just trying everything right now, trying to figure out what we want to pursue or whatever?
Yeah, right now it's really basketball and football are his go-to sports. After football is done, he'll go right into basketball. And so this is the first time this will be interesting because he's never played competitive basketball before. And I don't know if it'll be really competitive, quote unquote, but it'll be playing basketball on a team. And so, those team sports are really good for anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, you get to learn to communicate and work as a team and work on the techniques. You got to start at some age. That's how these pros been doing it since they're 6 or 3, whatever. How you listen to those documentaries. So
and I just, what happens. I'm really trying hard to not be that parent who runs up and down the field being like, "Oh, come on, you got to do this, you got to do that," and because that's
you don't want to be the parent coach,
dude. And that's me. That it's just something that I have to. That's a cross that I have to bear. But today we're going to be talking about failing fast, and we've talked about athletes in the Olympics. We've talked about our kids, and we even have our own life experiences where many times at the beginning we fail and we get so wrapped up in not wanting to fail and doing the right thing the right way the first time that we don't really understand the importance of failure. And when we're in sports, learning a technique, learning a skill, learning how to do something must require failure, because if you do something right the first time, you don't really have a basis. I mean, it's great to do it right the first time, but very, very, very rarely do we do that. So Ethan, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you think of when I first say fail fast, and how does that affect you?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's in, just even in sports, it's just life in general. I mean, that's why I get frustrated, even now when I watch my little brother and sisters as they get older and all that. And when they say everybody gets a ribbon, everybody gets a milk, that's not how life works,
Yeah.
You have to, like we're talking about before we got started, you have to fail in order to learn from that. And the sooner, it sounds bad, but the sooner you fail, the sooner you learn fast from that mistake and the better you're going to be. As it's happening, it's hard to think it as that way. But, after a couple weeks, you sit on it, think about it, like, you know what? Okay, so I failed. What do I get out of this? And obviously with anything, you learn from it or you keep failing until you learn from it. So it is, even though it's a negative thing, it's also at the same time, it has a positive, because hopefully you can learn from that mistake and be a better person or a better athlete or a better performer. So that's what I would say. What do you think?
For me, it's a faster way to get proficient at something. And, failure sucks just in and of itself. But, the Broncos selected Bo Nix when they drafted back in April, and they just announced that he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And one of the things that's unique about him, and really I think a lot of professional athletes, is that they have the ability to shut their mind off when it comes to negative impact plays or negative impact things. They have a short memory, and they take that failure, that incomplete pass, that fumble, that interception, that missed block, whatever,
sack,
and
whatever,
the sack. They're like, oh, I can't hold the ball for 3.5 seconds, 4.5 seconds. I got to get rid of it. So the next play, they drop back and it's gone in 1.9, 2.2, whatever. And that ball's out quick. And so it's a learning thing. But the ability to fail allows you to see things in a different way. And for me, when I fail, the faster I get to failure, the faster I can learn what to do, rather than failing and delving in it and sitting in it. And for me, it's kind of like, the next play, the next try, the next pitch, the next throw, the next whatever that may be. I think in weightlifting, there's a term, go to failure. And it's when you lift as hard as you can, as long as you can, until you absolutely fail, until you cannot physically push up the bar anymore or push your legs up anymore. And it's brutal.
Crazy burning sensation.
Dude, my legs. Yeah, exactly. My legs are burning just thinking about it. My shoulders are ripping apart just thinking about it. And you cannot, at least in that situation, if you don't have the people around you to fail with, you will fail and not succeed ever. Because if let's talk lifting just for a second. When you lift to fail and you've got your max weight on the bar and you're trying to push it up, you've got it up once or twice, and now you're doing your last rep and your arms are shaking and your body is shaking. You're having a hard time breathing and your face is turning red and everything is about to explode out of your face. And you let that bar down and it falls on you with nobody to catch it. You're going to be in a world of hurt. And
no doubt.
That
reminds me like the Chris Johnson situation. That was a running back.
Yeah, that's exactly
that happened to him, and his vocal cords weren't the same at all. But
no, that's
again, sorry not to interrupt, but like when you say you have to have the people, also has to have the supporting cast, And so if you have the right supporting cast, you can learn from your mistakes. But sorry, continue.
No, that's exactly where I was going. When you don't have that support group around you and you don't learn to fail, you get scared to fail. And you go right up to that barrier of, well, I think I might be able to do one more rep, but I don't want to, I don't want to fail. I don't want to try it. I don't want to hurt something, which, can be a wise thing. But surrounding yourself with those people so that you can fail is highly important. Coaches, parents, spouses, other friends, other athletes, your team. Those are the people who, when you fail, are cheering you on the loudest. So why is failure in your mind so important?
Well, I mean, it's definitely I always say experience is the best teacher, and experience is the same thing as, there could be a failing or learning from something. So, and I think when we talk about as a parent, that's your job to teach kids when they lose. Like, it's okay to lose. Obviously, what happened? Did you do your part? Did you help your other teammate do their part? Okay, so obviously the other team is better than yours. That's it. So you can't. Again, I think for me, going back to your point, failing early is better because you learn faster, you get better faster because you have that supporting cast. And they're going to help you push you to become better than you were before. So I guess why it's important to fail, I guess, because you're going to, hopefully you have the right supporting cast and you're going to learn from it and then become better than you were a year ago or whatever it may be. So I think that's why failing is important, I would say.
I think that the fear of failure is a powerful thing. And many times when we are successful in everything we do, like the successful businessman, the successful athlete who's never really had to try for a starting position, it's those, we've all seen those athletes, like they fall out of bed hitting home runs, or, the fastest just walking down the street. And you're like, how in the world did you get that fast? Well, there are some people who don't actually have to struggle with those natural God-given abilities. And when they fail for the first time, it's like, it's terrifying to them. They're like, wait a minute, I lost a race. I didn't hit a home run. What in the world? And sometimes they don't ever recover from it. And because they don't know what failure feels like. But for those of us who have failed often, they fail fast. They get to that failure point, rather quickly. It becomes a callus, if you will, to be able to move on with your life and to do the best that you can in sports and in life. And I don't know how many coaches, like I'm sure you've had, who were more than coaches on the field, in the weight room, in the locker room, and they were really coaches for life. And it's important. But Ethan, is there a particular sport or a time that you failed in sport that you knew instantly that you were going to grow from?
I think I would say, like my track, when I was trying out for track and field. Again, to me at that time, running wasn't I hated running, number one.
Like everybody should.
Yeah. And then, people think, well, how can you hate running? You're Ethiopian. I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh.
All that stereotype, that doesn't work here. But my thing is, though, also, back to the supporting cast, like people see your ability. You might not see it. And I didn't even know I was, good enough. But, shout out to my agent / coach, Deb Conley. She's like, oh, I think you're fast. You got to come and try this out. And I started doing it. And she's like, yeah, you did this. You were dragging your guides. So now we need to get you better ones. And so, that's why I was able to compete and track meet, my first track meet in, I think, USC or UCLA, one of those places. I don't remember. And it felt crazy to be there.
Yeah.
And with other disabled athletes that are, the best in their craft. I'm like, what the heck? It felt so weird. I'm wearing short shorts that are shorter than boxers. Oh, no. I'm wearing this little tank top and I'm feeling uncomfortable because that's not my style of dressing. And next thing you know, the gun's going off. I'm like, oh, I gotta go. And so I think, to me, going back to your question, is that, just even experiencing that, I realized I did have a potential. And in order to become the best, I had to put a lot of work in. And those people have been doing this since I was 6 years old. And I just started. I had no idea what kind of shoes to wear. Yeah. That I remember asking Deb, I'm like, these are the shorts they wear. She's like, yeah. And she's laughing at me because I'm like, what? This is so uncomfortable. Like, might as well run, butt
that's
naked.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And so I think just, it wasn't failure, but just, going back to the whole failure / experience. Yeah. Like, I learned from that, like, you don't just wake up and become great. You do have to put in work to become in that level. So I didn't know all the rules. I didn't qualify because me and my guys were not in the same lane. You're supposed to stay in the same lane. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's not my fault. I can't see it. That's why I have a guide. But we were not in the same lane. So we disqualified. I don't know if I would have, won something or not. But still, the experience taught me a lot. You have to put an effort if you want to be the best. And obviously, I didn't put enough of the work, or else I'll be in France right now. So,
dude, that's.
I hope that answers
I love
your question.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, even that was I don't want to say a failure, like a flat out failure, but that experience was extremely valuable because there were some mistakes that were made, and there were some things that can be corrected, like we all have in our lives. But you learn from it and you move on and you quickly learn that, oh, that's a mistake that I shouldn't make. I should stay in my own lane, not only for my safety, my guide's safety, but for the safety of the other people. And
absolutely. Because you run as fast as you can.
Dude, yeah. And some of those road rashes that you get on that track are not fun.
Oh my God.
They hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, I started at this like lower than lower A, like we were like a negative 1A school and we barely had enough people for an 8-man team. And so we were playing 8-man football, and I was the best player on an 8-man like negative A football team. So that's not saying a whole lot. And so as we went through the 3 years, we actually grew the program a little bit to where we were playing, 11-man football, and it was fun.
Yeah, at least you had enough numbers.
Yeah. We finally graduated to a positive one, and we're like, great, this is fantastic. Now we're still on the absolute bottom rung of any, like I think we won one game my junior year. But I was getting I was really good at my position, and I always had been good at playing corner until I went to Arvada West. Arvada West is a mega 5A school who's usually in the playoffs, usually competing for some sort of state championship. And I was thinking, oh man, I'm just going to walk in here and I'm going to throw down because these corners have no idea what's going on. And then in my infinite wisdom, I decided that I didn't want to be a corner anymore, that because my intellect as a corner would make me a really good wide receiver. And, and so I had this really big head going into Arvada West, and I ended up playing all of like 2 minutes the entire season. And I regretted that one sport decision to this day, because I could have been a starter on defense. I could have been on that side of the ball, but my pride and my ability to, coax myself out of something that was really, really good. Even my dad said, like, Jonathan, this is not the best idea you've ever had. And you've had some pretty awesome ideas in the past, but this one really takes the cake. And I just remember him telling me, Jonathan, you should stay on defense because you could do some really great things and be on the field a lot. I was like, I know, but I want to be a wide receiver. I can get in a corner's mind and I know how they're going to move. And so I could be a really good wide receiver. Well, I was, it didn't work out well. And so I failed miserably in that aspect. But it was one of the best years of football that I could have been a part of, because it taught me so many things, and practicing and learning, a completely different side of the ball was infinitely valuable. And
how did you handle it emotionally? Like, what was your thoughts as you're not playing as much as you thought you would?
Oh man, I struggled. I'm not going to lie. I struggled, and I had really bad ankle injuries that year as well. The second week of practice, I went to cut and I hit a sprinkler head and just shattered my ankle. And I was out for about 3 or 4 weeks and tried to come back faster than I wanted to. And did the same thing to the other side.
It's like, Mother Nature's like, let's even it out. It's in balance.
Yeah, he's like, Mother Nature's like, you decided you didn't want to play defense, so here's your punishment.
Yeah. There you go. Not one ankle, 2 ankles.
We're gonna even it up. And so that was really hard to deal with. But the guys that I surrounded myself with were awesome. And one of the guys who became a really good friend, his name was Dutch, and he was actually in choir with me. And so we were 2 of the football players that were in choir and enjoyed the arts. And so, if we got made fun of, we quickly threw him into a locker.
So give him a swirl.
That's right. And so we had it going on both ends. So we looked out for each other, but it was great. But the pride thing was something that I had to get over pretty quickly, because I saw my friends playing football and I was in a boot, or I was on the field taped up, or I wasn't playing unless we were either really behind or really ahead. And so it made my senior year of football not nearly as fun as it could have been, but we were one game away from the state championship when I went. And when you go comparatively from very small class A 11-man football where you barely have enough men to make the team, to now class 5A state championship level football, it's a completely different experience. And when I learned that I was so excited just to be there, it made everything a little bit more palatable.
Easier to,
And so that's my big failure, I guess, moment, if you will.
I gotcha. Would you say part of failure is also like self-realization, though? Like knowing who you are, or
it better be
where you come from? Yeah.
Oh, it better be.
Because, that's what you were saying, like a pride thing. Like I guess you thought you knew who you were, but, kind of reality, kind of like, no.
Pride cometh before the fall, my friend. Pride cometh before the fall. And that's a big thing, is if you have the pride that you're not going to fail or that you can't fail, boy, when that failure comes, you better be ready because it is going to.
You're going to face plant.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
All day long. Not only going to face plant, you're going to slide through the intersection on your face. But yeah, that's a hard.
And can you imagine if you were a jerk too on top of that? Oh, nobody's going to help you
up. Ever.
They're going to step
over.
That's
right. You better be careful you better treat the people on the way up really well because they're going to be the ones that catch you on the way down.
No doubt.
And
that's well said.
There's a humility when it comes to being able to see the value in failure. And I know we're getting really philosophical, but it's like these coaches in your life are going to teach you these lessons throughout your entire sports journey. And I think the importance of being able to fail and fail fast is that no matter what you go through, if you have the right mindset when you're failing, it's easier to get up and keep going rather than taking that failure for what it is and giving up.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So
last question I have, when you're facing failure, what have you come across that was a valuable tool that helped you overcome that failure or that failure mindset or that experience or lack of experience mindset?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. And I think for me, obviously when I was younger, again, like you, I thought I was a badass blind athlete. And, and then obviously when you compete with the other great blind athletes around the world and even around the US, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not that badass as I thought I was. And so it motivates you. But again, so going back to, I think it's like self-realization.
Yeah.
You kind of go through your failure. All right, okay, so let's say if it's a game you lost, kind of break it down piece by piece and say, okay, did I do my part? Okay, check. Okay, what can I do better to help out my other teammates to do their part to help us successfully win? And so, again, at the same time, you can only control what you can control. But when you're trying to figure out what the problem was, I think it starts with self-realization of yourself. Like, did you do enough? And what did you do to help the team? Or what you did was part of the team failing? That kind of thing, I think, is the main. And then from there, you can kind of branch out and look at other aspects of the parts of what you failed at or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It totally does.
Like I said, we're talking so philosophical, so deep.
I love it. Yeah, this is great. We're not just a whole bunch of lunkheads, throwing around weight and killing each other. No, we can be soft. We can be smart. For me, there's
what's your thoughts? Yeah.
There's an ability to see things for what they are and say, okay, I failed. Now what? What's next? And that's a big thing for me is the what's next. And it's how fast can I get past the failure, learn from it, adopt it, and realize it, move on. Surrounding yourself with people that are in your corner, not who are trying to beat you down, is key. And then making sure that you have the right mindset. Do you really want to be doing this sport? Do you really want to be in this field? What is it that you want to be doing? Because if you don't want to be in the field or in the sport or whatever it is, you're not going to go very far, even when you fail. Yeah. That failure you're going to see is just another, oh, well, I guess I shouldn't be doing this anymore. There's that mindset that can get very dangerous. Yep. And so making sure that you're in the right place with the right reason is another important factor to that.
For sure.
Well, as we close out this show, what would you give as your challenge for those listening this week?
I think the challenge I'll give to the listeners, if you have young kids or even friends that are in sports, honestly, whether they fail or not, I think my main thing is just teaching the kids it's okay to lose. It's not a bad thing. I think we keep saying that's the fastest way to learn to become better.
For sure.
It's failing fast. Yeah. And so I think just teaching the kids at a young age, it's okay to lose. It's a teacher to get you better for the later in life. And that's why I love, honestly, I know it's not part of the question, but like I listened to Coach Prime.
Oh yeah.
Now he's got Warren Sapp on his coaching staff. And I love listening to them. They get me fired up. I don't like physical stuff, but I'm ready to fight and go play.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah.
I think it's being there for your kids and helping them understand to be a good loser, not a poor loser.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that and say that the challenge is to find somebody who is failing and prop them up. I want, there's a buddy of mine who him and his wife this morning, actually, when this comes out, it was yesterday morning, they just had their first baby girl, and she was going through so much trauma and anxiety around this pregnancy that to have that finally happen and experience is such a wonderful thing. And I love being there for them because they've been through a lot and they're going through a lot. Yeah. And just to be able to be a support is so much fun. And it's such a giant blessing for me. It makes me feel so good. And
it makes you celebrate it even better. Like
it does
harder because you know how hard it was to get to that point.
Oh yeah.
And it makes you appreciate all the hard work, all the failures to become, successful. And congratulations to them. Yeah. And best health for the brand new baby.
Absolutely.
Future president, maybe we'll see.
That's
right. We're not trying to get political.
That's right. There we go. Let's go. Speaking of Coach Prime and Warren Sapp, I don't know if you heard this today, but Terrell Davis is actually joining the CSU Ram staff.
So they're trying to copy.
I know.
Look at those goats copying buffaloes. Come on,
my
now.
Goodness. It's going to be real interesting. So, yeah, I'm excited for what CU does this year. I'm excited for what the Broncos are going to do. And it's going to be, dude, I'm so excited. My sport, football is back.
Yeah. Oh, it's back. It's ready to go. Yeah. And I'm really excited. This is probably the last year and this year have been so excited just because, the whole hype between with Coach Prime and his energy and his style of coaching, and then he keeps getting more great coaches, and I'm looking forward to the season. And
dude, me too.
Again, I'm glad he failed early because as far as the coaching goes, because we won 4 straight. Oh yeah, lost the rest.
That's right.
So you can only get better from there. So I can't
talk about failing. That's a tank and a half. I mean,
for sure.
Maybe we'll have
he got everything.
Maybe we'll have him on the show. See if I can reach out to his people.
That'd be crazy. Oh my god,
that would be absolutely insane. I don't know if we could pull that off, but that would be. Yeah. So if any of you any of you out there listening and the CU Accessibility Campus, give me a call, 720-712-8856. That's our feedback line. And let me know if we can get Coach Prime on, because that would be a show and a half, man. I'd be ready to run through a brick wall right now. Let's go.
Ready to run to Boulder.
Running all the way to Boulder, straight up to Boulder. So for all you students who are returning, congratulations. Do well, fail often. It's going to be a great year for you guys. And to all the families of people who are playing sports, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and enjoy the process. Just enjoy it. It's so much. We don't have sports for very long. And
exactly,
when you get older, your body starts falling apart and you can't do the things that you once did.
Do it for
us, please. Please. I just turned 40 over the summer. So let's, it's a struggle and a half, but yeah, if you have any other comments, questions, concerns, feedback at aftersight.org is the email. Again, the phone number 720-712-8856. Ethan, any final thoughts before we head out?
No, be safe in your sports activities, and then at school, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So if you start poorly, don't worry about it. Just finish strong, all right? Go.
All right, on behalf of Ethan Johnson, my name is Jonathan Price and the Aftersight family. Fail fast, fail often.